He was known for his no BS approach to diplomacy, and the only people he terrified more than dictators were spineless libs who wet their pants at the very mention of his name. Needless to say, he's my kind of guy. We're thrilled to have back on the program John Bolton, former U.S. ambassador to the UN and Fox News contributor. He knows protocol like I know alcohol. Ambassador, always a pleasure to have you on the show. I want to first, I got to talk to you about the Libyan president. We talked about him last night. He's coming to New York next month for a UN meeting, and he's staying in a tent on the front lawn of a house in New Jersey that's owned by the Libyan mission, and some of the neighbors aren't happy with this. How can he do this? Wow, what's your take on this?
Well, he's the only head of state who doesn't want to live in a hotel. This is fairly typical. I've heard he's done this as he travels around the world. In one case, they cleared the top floor of his embassy in a country and put the tent inside the top floor. So I guess they're going to let him sleep out on the grass this time.
This reminds me of when I was a kid. And, I lived in the suburbs and I wanted to go camping, so my parents let me put a tent in the living room. This guy never really grew up. He likes to just tent. He likes to camp. But now, technically, here's a weird question. Where he pitches that tent, technically, does that make him president of that area?
Well, that area, as I understand it, is part of their mission, which is under our diplomatic rules, Libyan sovereign territory. So I guess he's the leader of Englewood, New Jersey's tent community.
Isn't it kind of like if President Obama visited the Middle East and brought a two-bedroom colonial house and plopped it down in front of the pyramids?
Sounds good to me. The two of them are going to get to meet at the UN. The president's, we're president of the Security Council in September. The president wants to host a meeting of the Security Council at the head of state level to talk about proliferation. Libya is on the Security Council, so maybe we'll get a picture of the two of them shaking hands discussing the release of this terrorist from Scotland.
Yeah, no, it is amazing. I'm still unclear on how, Gaddafi, I guess, we restored full diplomatic relations with him after he denounced terror. And then he goes and he pulls these shenanigans. We were told that there wasn't going to be any wild embracing, and they treated this guy like a hero when he was greeted back in Libya. Seems wrong.
Well, both the UK government and the Scottish government said they had been assured by Gaddafi that there wouldn't be any heroes welcome. Well, here's a news flash for the United Kingdom. It was just Muammar Gaddafi behaving like Muammar Gaddafi. What's the deal here?
Why was Obama's response to this, as usual, to me, always seems muted? I think he even said that he was disappointed that the guy wasn't placed under house arrest. Like he's like a reality celebrity on celebrity rehab. I don't understand it.
Well, the whole thing really is ridiculous. Scotland wouldn't have gotten jurisdiction of this guy unless the U.S. had agreed to it 10 years ago. And the idea that we didn't have a stake in this, that this was purely a Scottish decision, absolutely wrong. 82% of the American people oppose the release of this terrorist. 82% of the American people don't agree on anything. So I think it's going to be more of a problem here. Yeah.
Now, I got to ask you just one or two more questions about the tent. Well, this is in Englewood, New Jersey, and in Englewood, New Jersey, or any suburb, there's lots of kids looking for trouble. If I were living there, I'd be, getting the eggs and I'd TP his teepee. Now, what could happen what could he do if 6 or 7 high school kids on bikes, egged? Would they do anything to these kids? Would it be a danger?
Well, at least in former days, his bodyguards were all female.
Yes.
And very well armed and fairly attractive. So I don't know. He may attract a lot of attention, not because of the tent, but because of the bodyguards.
Yeah, there'll be tents being pitched elsewhere. I got to tell you, this is one thing I admire for the guy is the 40 female bodyguards. When you meet, other countries must be in hysterics when he shows up, but he doesn't care, which is almost kind of respectable.
Yeah, well, I guess it shows he's not an Islamic fundamentalist because they're not wearing burqas, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, but also he goes around in that lovely gown with his 40 female bodyguards. Something's very odd there.
It's bad. It's bad. I got about a minute or so left. I want to ask you about the new memos and everything, and the outrage that's again about the things that are coming out. I want to ask you, America would never actually kill somebody's family. So is it wrong for us to make that threat to somebody that we're interrogating when you know that we wouldn't do that?
Yeah, I think the thing here is that all this talk about terror, it's very hard to find anybody who was ever physically abused. And where people cross the line, we take care of it. But what we're trying to do is shake them up psychologically. And I think there's a lot you can do there. I think the big problem here is some people in the Obama administration don't want a clandestine intelligence service, and they just ought to come out and say it rather than pretend that they're trying to make things available to the public. That's not their real goal.
Yeah, there seems to be, no matter what they say, kind of a fundamental distaste about the whole idea, and they're more inclined to condemn the people that are trying to protect us than the people that are trying to kill us. Am I exaggerating it, or?
No, it'd be nice to investigate some terrorists instead of the people who are trying to find the terrorists. That would be nice.
Yeah. Ambassador, we got to go. Always a pleasure having you on the show. And please come back. I always enjoy it and I always learn things. That's the important thing. Ambassador John Bolton, thank you. So do you have a comment on the show? Email us.